set up. So before I get started, in keeping with the traditions of my people, I must take a selfie. Okay. I don't know. Give me your favorite hand signal. Keep it PG. Okay. Feeling kind of cute. Might give a talk later. IDK. Perfect. And sent. All right. Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are enjoying the conference so far. I'll make it quick so we can get out to the pub night, which, by the way, is being hosted by Dan Honig and Boomer Digital. And it's very important. I know I said this before to pretty much everybody, but keep your IDs, because that's how you'll get the booze. So before we get started, I have to introduce myself. My name is Sean Denny. I'm the CIO and lead engineer at Tube Depot. My wife and I are we're expecting our first child in May. Thank you. We are excited beyond belief. I got my start in web development earlier in life. At 11, my dad taught me HTML and I built this masterpiece. There is an awards page, but I have yet to receive any, so, you know, hint, hint. I hosted Southeast Solidus last year. Some of you are in this picture. And I'm also currently a member of Solidus Management. So let's get started. This talk is about Solidus Management. Now, before I get into that, or what that means, I want to explain why it's something that I care about and why I think that you should care about it too. So the main reasons that I put this talk together are, I don't think a lot of the community in Solidus knows how we're managed right now. So I'd like to go over that a little bit, maybe demystify the whole thing, do a quick checkup on the platform, and provide a little bit of feedback for going forward. I think the way that we've decided to manage the project is pretty unique, and given the importance of community and open source and the community-focused structure that we've chosen, I'm really excited to see where this takes us. Most of you probably already know who Stembolt is. They were a dev agency who managed Solidus previously. They did a lot of work for Solidus, and not just in the code base. They really cultivated the community that we now enjoy. And I think if you ask a Solidus developer what their favorite part of working on Solidus is, a lot of them will tell you that it is the community. So I think our job going forward, above all else, should be to ensure that that sense of community remains strong and continue to build on it. I think a lot of people underestimate the importance of community in open source, so I really want to stress that point a little bit. As an open source project, you rely on your community to make your project work. You rely on your community to work on the project, to point out any bugs or vulnerabilities, to help answer support questions. In our case, you rely on the community to fund the project. And you can hire people to do all of that stuff and fund the project elsewhere, but then you don't really have an open source project anymore. The whole idea of open source is based around a community coming together to work on something that they like. Building a strong community should be the first objective of any open source project. And that's really why I'm excited about our community-focused management structure. But before I get into how that works, I want to just briefly go over the history of the project to get everybody up to speed. Most of you already know all of this, so I'll be quick. In the beginning, there was Spree. Spree was acquired by First Data, which made a lot of people angry and has been widely regarded as a bad move. Solidus was forked from Spree by Stembolt, a Canadian consultancy company. After a few years of smooth sailing, Stembolt was acquired by Joule. That left Solidus without any management, so a group of concerned business owners and community members was formed, dubbed the Solidus stakeholders, to decide what to do. In the end, what we came up with was a loose 501c3 style structure with a focus on community involvement. So here's how it works. We have meetings every Thursday now. We used to have meetings every other Thursday, and then we went into like having 2 meetings a week, and that was way too much, but we had to do it for the conference. Going forward, we'll have a meeting every Thursday. It is an open agenda, which means that anybody can propose a talking topic. If we have a decision to make, we announce the votes a week in advance so everybody is given a sufficient heads up. They are a simple majority, and absentee voting is allowed. We have a secretary, that's me. I organize the meetings, keep the records, and hold the votes. We also have a community organizer, that is Nebulab, and they take a greater degree of control in getting things done. They've really done a lot of work for the platform. For example, they did all of the graphic design that you see for the conference. They did all of that. They do the solidus.io. I mean, they've already gone over a lot of the stuff that they've done for the platform, and it's quite a lot. So in exchange for all that work, they get to be called the community organizer. They get top tier billing on solidus.io, and of course the warm, fuzzy feelings of helping out open source. So beyond those two appointments, nobody has any specific responsibilities beyond attending the meetings and helping out wherever possible. This is a list of active stakeholders. I'm not going to read them, but there are 16 in total. We also have two, I would call them inactive stakeholders, Sean Taylor and Clark Bunsden, the founders of Stembolt. This list it's not posted anywhere publicly, but I'm going to work on getting something like this up soon just because we want to be as transparent as possible. So to join the group, you need to meet one of the following qualifications. You have to have made 3 or more contributions to Solidus via GitHub over the last year, be the author or maintainer of a Solidus extension, or be currently contributing through Open Collective. We may expand that list going forward, but that was just sort of a starting point for us. We really just want you to be active in the community. If you meet those qualifications and you want to join, we'd love to have you. You just have to reach out to a current stakeholder, me, Gregor, really anybody that you know, and request a vote for your entry. If the vote passes, you're in. If it doesn't, you can request any follow-up votes, as many as you want. The minimum expectations of a stakeholder are to attend the meetings at least somewhat regularly and to not act in a way that damages the platform. We're also aware of any conflict of interests that might occur. I mean, obviously, if we have anybody from Spark Solutions that wanted to join the stakeholder channel, we might have some problems with that. It would be interesting. I'm sorry? Oh. Why not? Let's do it. So as far as the finances for the platform, we're using Open Collective as our means for collecting money. We don't have an actual entity behind the group, which makes that portion of it a little bit fuzzy. So we like Open Collective because it's a central location where we can keep all of the money and we don't have to worry about people siphoning it out or doing bad things with it. Anybody can submit an expense to Open Collective. It has to be approved by a member of the core team of Open Collective, not to be confused with the core team of Solidus. We really like it because everything's transparent. You can go there right now and see what we've been spending money on. So that's how it's structured in a nutshell. We tried to build something that's very simple and open, and we want to make sure that if you have an interest in Solidus and you want to see Solidus succeed in the future, you can join in and help us. We've still got some work to do, but I think we're getting there. So I'm going to wrap that up. I want to delve a bit into how Solidus is doing currently and what all that means for you. So there's 2 things I want to point out about Solidus over the last year. The first is that the platform has been gaining in popularity fairly quickly. It's kind of a little surprising to me because after the fallout of Stembolt being acquired and Hawthorne leaving the platform, I really would have expected to see a hit in user acquisition, but it appears that we're just chugging along just fine, and I think that's sort of a testament to the community that we've built here. The other side of that, though, is that the development on the platform has slowed. We have lost several paid maintainers, and at this point, the majority of the work on the platform is done on a volunteer basis. It's not necessarily a bad thing. That's kind of what open source is about, but it does lead me to believe that we need to focus on community engagement and onboarding a little bit more. We've been building in users, and if we do it right, that's a resource that we can use to get more development work done, either with more volunteers or by donations that we can use to hire maintainers. As far as the management goes, right now we have a good mix of company representation. We've got 7 people from web development companies, 6 from end-user e-commerce companies, and 1 unaffiliated. That's 14 different companies represented within the group. I really like that. It means that we're not in an echo chamber. There's a lot of differing opinions about what needs to be done and how, and we're not going to approach the problems solely as the people that are maintaining Solidus. Some of us, like myself, are going to approach them as end users of Solidus. Some of us are going to approach them as developers who work on their clients' e-commerce code every day. Some of us will have to explain all the changes that we're making to the companies that they service, and some of us don't even have coding backgrounds. And the goal is to find a solution to these problems that work for everyone, or at least a majority. We'd like to avoid a situation where the platform, for example, becomes skewed so heavily towards end users that it becomes a pain to work on for developers, or the other way around. We want a platform that works for everyone, and that only works if everyone has a voice. So while I'm proud of what we've built for the management of the platform, there is obviously still a long way to go. We've done a lot of work involving community in the management, and that's great. But community managed projects can still be badly managed, so we really have to be careful going forward to make sure that we're doing the right thing, and we have to avoid mismanaging the platform. So there's 3 things that I think that we could be doing better. Number 1 is seeking diversity. I mentioned previously that the group has a diverse representation of companies, but that's really where the diversity ends. We do have a lot of different backgrounds, but currently we have 16 active stakeholder members, and they're all white men. The group is open to diversity. Open source itself is built on the idea that anybody can contribute regardless of their background, and I don't think a single stakeholder is opposed to the idea. But the problem is that being open to diversity isn't enough, especially in open source. A GitHub poll in 2017 showed that diversity in open source is way worse than diversity in tech, and diversity in tech isn't that great to begin with. I think this is one of the most important things that we can work on as a community at the moment, not just because it's the right thing to do. I mean, most of you should be aware of the difficulties that minorities face in STEM, but it's also a great way to help the platform. This is a quote from a Forbes article taking data from the McKinsey Global Institute. Companies in the top quartile for gender diversity outperformed their competitors by 15%, and those in the top quartile for ethnic diversity outperformed their competitors by 35%. And it's not hard to see why. People from different backgrounds bring different insights and solutions. It's really as simple as that. For Solidus to stand out, accepting diversity isn't enough. We need to seek it out in the same way that we might seek out donations to Open Collective or contributions to GitHub. Number 2 is work with the community. As an open source project, community is our currency, and we need to continue to do everything we can to make community our priority. We should work on our on-ramping process to make it easier for the community to contribute. I have written here, we need a roadmap to let the community know where we're going, but we're handling that. We should market to grow the community. We should be wary of overly negative or toxic sentiments gaining root in the community. And I say that because nothing kills passion faster than excessive negativity or prevents a community from growing like toxicity. I don't want to work on a platform where the community is toxic. Most importantly, we should continue to work on staying connected with the community wherever possible. We've done a good job at this through the conferences, through Slack. More recently, we've sent out a bunch of blog posts, but we can also continue to stay connected through GitHub, Stack Overflow, newsletters, just however we can. And lastly, because everybody working on Solidus Management is mostly volunteering in their free time, it can be a little hard to get things done. It's easy for us to make statements in the meetings like, we need a roadmap or we should start marketing, but getting those things done requires a lot of time and effort, and there's very little incentive for anyone to actually do them. We've been getting by okay. We brought you this conference with the structure that we have now. We've been working on the roadmap. Thanks a lot, Nebula. That's great work. But just like anything else, it can always be better. Right now, with the exception of myself, nobody in the group has any specific responsibilities besides that of a board member. I don't know if the way forward is to assign responsibilities to people or create groups of responsible parties, or maybe look at possible incentive for getting things done, but it is something that I like to discuss going forward. So, wrapping things up, wow, 15 minutes, all right. What we're trying to build is a system where everyone in the community has a say in the direction of the platform. We've approached this with a community focus, and I think as long as we keep that focus in mind, it'll serve us well. It's still a work in progress, and we haven't quite figured everything out yet, but I'm proud to be a part of it, and I'm looking forward to making it even better. For anyone who's interested in taking part, please reach out to me or one of the other stakeholders. We'd love to have you. Anybody in the community who's interested in the development of Solidus. We're holding an open meeting tomorrow at 10 a.m. during the Hack Day. This will be just like our regular stakeholder meetings, but everybody's invited to attend and propose topics and just sort of discuss what they'd like to see in Solidus going forward. We'd love for you to take part if you're going to be around tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, side note, I'm leading out a hike after the Hack Day. We're doing Donut Falls Trail. It's an easy 3-mile hike. There's a waterfall at the end. It's one of the most popular in Utah, so let's go find out why. If you're interested, please join us. It'll be a lot of fun. I think we'll be meeting up there at 4:30, but keep in contact in the conf channel just to keep up to date with that. And lastly, I just want to say thank you so much to all of our wonderful sponsors and, of course, the community for coming out and showing your support. It means a lot to me. I'm sure it means a lot to everybody else involved in Solidus. I had a wonderful time here. It was a blast to help put together. I had a lot of help from all of the fellow stakeholder members, and especially Nebulab. Again, they've been really instrumental in putting a lot of this together. I'm already looking forward to next year. So that's it. Thank you.